Special Olympics is creating positive outcomes for athletes, families, and the community. A Stockton student is gearing up the Hispanic community for civic engagement, and we reflect on the rich Puerto Rican cultural heritage that is an annual tradition here in South Jersey. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas. Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. Special Olympics is an important program that is helping to create positive outcomes for the athletes, the family, and the community. Joining me to discuss their great work is Linda Cobb. She is the Area 8 Director for Special Olympics. Linda, welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you, Bert, for having me.
In Special Olympics, everyone has heard of Special Olympics, but maybe we're not all that familiar exactly the big scope of Special Olympics. Tell me a little bit about the organization.
Well, Special Olympics is the world's largest sports organization for children and individuals with intellectual disabilities. It has 4.5 million athletes participating in 170 countries. Typically around 94,000 events a year.
And I know that locally, Special Olympics is very active, and I know that a lot of colleagues at Atlanta City Electric are also volunteers of Special Olympics. Tell me a little bit about the chapter down here in South Jersey.
So in New Jersey, we have roughly around 3,500 athletes, but in the Area 8, which is Atlantic, Cape May, and Cumberland counties, there's about 350 athletes that compete year-round. We have what we call local training programs. In Area 8, there's 13 local training programs. Now, a local training program could be a family that's created a group to participate. It could be a school that's created a group to participate, or it can be an organization that's created a team to participate. In New Jersey, there's 24 sports that we can participate in year-round.
I've been a volunteer for both the basketball and the floor hockey events, and I know those are great events. The athletes are very enthusiastic, as well as their families. Tell me a little bit about the benefit that this brings to the athlete themselves.
Well, think about not being able to get on a team when you try out and you have to have a certain level of skill. Special Olympics New Jersey, we include everyone. It doesn't matter their ability, it doesn't matter their skill level. We figure out a way for them to play the sport that they want to play. So what happens is they train locally, and then they go to their local competition, and from there receive first, second, third, even sometimes, others can then go on to their regional level. It's similar to the way the high school sports work, that you do local, regional, state. And then what you talked about, floor hockey and basketball, they were state level competitions for those teams that qualified on their local level and then their regional level to go to state level. And then it gets bigger, because then at states, they qualify for nationals. Nationals for USA is going to be in 2018, is going to be in Seattle. So you have athletes that are thinking that far ahead. Oh, I'd like to qualify for national games. And from there, there's international games.
And I noticed how enthusiastic and engaged the family is with the athlete and just being at the event. They're excited for the athletes. Tell me a little bit about the benefit it comes to the family.
Well, with the family, their child, the athlete, whether it's an adult or truly a child, they see them making friendships. They see them growing, learning skills, having a good time, interacting with others. And that truly allows that family to, there's a great thing going on that I get to root for. I get to, see my child. Even little increments, we see that improvement. And that's really what it's all about, the growth, whether, it's a personal growth. And I had an athlete tell me that after basketball. I was at basketball. And his team was winning. And he took the ball in the middle of the game and gave it to a player on the other team that had not got a basket. And she tried and she missed. And he's 6 foot. And you know what? He retrieved it and gave it right back to her. And he says, try again. And you see that spirit that, we all want to do good. We all, everybody wants to. And here we have that whole opportunity of year-long to be able to, it's not just about the athletic side of it, it's the friendship side of it. Exactly. Special Olympics does nutrition programs, they do health things, so that it's a healthy athlete. I noticed that the community, at least those that volunteer, they seem to keep coming back year after year because they really have a good time. They really enjoy that friendship that gets built as a volunteer. That's where I started. I was volunteering at 8 years old.
Let's talk a little bit about how someone can volunteer and be part of this.
So you can volunteer on a local level. So you could give me a call and say, I'd like to volunteer with soccer, and I can hook you up with the teams that have soccer. You can volunteer on a state level. So you could say, I want to go to those state games and volunteer. And they can volunteer. We have fall games, we have winter games, spring, summer. They can volunteer at sports because they love a sport. They can volunteer in the background of, I'm really good at organization and paperwork. Or they can volunteer professionally. Medical, we look for a lot of medical staff to help at our games. We look for photographers. We look for anyone that has a specialty. So there's lots of levels of that volunteer.
And I know you're responsible for helping with the events themselves, but there's also money that's required and volunteers to help run some of those fundraising events. And they could also reach out to you as well.
Special Olympics does not charge an athlete for anything, which means that's costly because we have to pay for venues, we have to pay for uniforms, we have to pay for food sometimes at the different venues, we have to pay for overnight. So absolutely, we're always looking for that as well.
And you do have quite a number of Latinos who are also participants in the program, and you also would like to see more Latino volunteers.
I have to sometimes depend on families to be that link for me to help with that athlete. And I would love to have some volunteers that are Latino that could help us, on a regular basis, get athletes through the different events and make it a little smoother transition for them.
Well, Linda, this is all the time we have. Thank you for sharing that information. And stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. The stakes for the upcoming presidential elections could not be greater, and helping to assure that the Hispanic community is engaged in the process is a Stockton student. Alejandra is here to discuss her civic engagement project. Alejandra, welcome to Latino Motion. And I purposely skip your last name because I have a hard time pronouncing your name.
That's okay. Alejandra Londoño is my name.
Alejandra, I know that you're a Stockton student and you decided to undertake this civic engagement project to engage the Latino community. But before we get into that, just want to talk a little bit about you as a student. Tell us about what you're doing here at Stockton and what your degree is.
Sure. I am a double major in sociology, anthropology, and in Spanish. I also have 2 minors in global studies in Latin American and Caribbean studies. So I have a broad focus, but also very focused on my roots and where I come from and making sure that Hispanics and the community are always involved in my education because I think it's important to honor my roots while also looking forward to the future and my career aspirations.
And I'm sure you got this good upbringing from your dad and mom, which I know pretty well, and you also volunteer and work with your dad. Tell me a little bit about that.
We have an online newspaper. It is called ComunicandoAC. The company as a whole is called ComunicandoAC. We want to make sure that the community is involved, is aware, knows where they can get news from and services that are available to them from being from Atlantic County.
It's a very good community project. So from that, you decided to go into this civic engagement project. Tell me a little bit about the impetus for that.
So it was a Board of Trustees fellowship, and I had to apply and do a proposal, and I was granted along with several other students from the university, and I am in the process of creating this wonderful civic engagement project that will unite the Hispanic community and also other minorities in Atlantic County so they can register to vote and they can go out in the November election and just be part of their democracy.
And that's a great thing and a great cause, basically. Let's talk a little bit about what this involves. And I have the flyer here, which is the power of the Hispanic vote. And it is set for June the 11th. It's the event at Dante Hall Theater there in Atlantic City. And it's basically it's a long event. It's from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Walk me through a little bit of what it entails.
Sure, it's a day-long event, and I made it that way because people work on the weekends, and I just want to make sure that they have enough time to get through to register to vote, even if they can't spend some time at the event. We will have some speakers, and Bert will be one of them, along with Dr. Colon. He'll be giving a presentation on the Electoral College of the United States and kind of how the voting process works. The Superintendent of Elections will also be speaking. I will also have a short introduction to the event. We'll have lunch and some cultural exhibitions that we have planned for the day. And we'll have community leaders, especially Hispanic community leaders, that will be there talking to the community and just sharing the importance of voting and the importance of being civically engaged.
And now in my inbox, I have a letter that's going to go to Mayor Michael Santiago in Millville, so you're trying to get and reach those Latino leaders that are out there. Why do you think it's so important for the Latino community to be engaged civically?
Sometimes we forget that we have power. We are 20% of the New Jersey population, and sometimes I hear, oh, my vote doesn't count, my vote won't serve any purpose, but that's not true. We have power, and we need to use it, especially in our local and national elections. And if we do that, we can make a change. The minority vote can make a change.
And I know that you purposely did this both in English and Spanish, so it's bilingual. You know, at times maybe there is a language barrier that keeps people from participating in the process. And you think that doing something like this could help them overcome some of those fears?
I think so. The people that I've talked to recently, and I've met people on the streets, and they like look at the flyer and they're like, "Can I have one of those?" And I'm like, "Yes, please, take as many as you want." And I think that they're enjoying that this is coming to them in their native language. It's something that they can understand, something that they can talk to me about. Because most times when they go to these events, it's all in English, and they don't really know what's going on, and they don't really know who are the people that are running that are Hispanic, that care about the Hispanic community. And right now we do have some Hispanics that are joining forces and running for these positions that are available to them.
Of course, this is not just limited for this presidential election. The importance of having the Latino engaged civically is something that we want throughout the whole year.
Definitely, and I don't want to be political. It is not a political debate, and it's not an event that we're going to choose Democrats over Republicans.
It's certainly nonpartisan, and it's an educational program, so you're trying to educate the Latino community, and that's very commendable. Tell me a little bit about who you expect to come. I mean, this is not just for Atlantic City residents, correct?
This is Atlantic County-wide. I hope that many people, whether they're Hispanic or not, attend the event. We will be honoring other minorities that attend, and I just want them to go and to understand the process of voting, to be involved in the process in November, and to register to vote, because it's the most important thing to take the first step in order to vote in the November election.
So again, it's June the 11th is the event, and it's going to take place at Dante Hall, which is owned by Stockton University, and is there at 14 North Mississippi Avenue, Atlantic City, from 11 to 5 p.m. And if they want more information, what number can they call?
They can call us 609-369-0200, and the whole Stockton community is waiting for them to be civically engaged.
Alejandra, thank you for joining us, and
Thank you for having me.
please stay tuned. We got one more guest here on Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. The San Juan Bautista Parade is an organization that has been celebrating and advancing Puerto Rican cultural heritage in our area for nearly 60 years. To discuss this year's celebration is the Vice President, Juan Gonzalez. Juan, welcome to Latino Motion.
Gracias, and thank you.
What an accomplishment, almost 60 years.
Yes.
And I know you were raised and born under the shadows of this event.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about the history.
Okay, well, again, thank you, Bert, for the invitation. And yes, the San Juan Bautista Parade is the big Puerto Rican parade in Camden, New Jersey. It started in 1957 through the Church of Our Lady of Fatima Church back in 1957. Back then it was Father Leonardo Carreri and a committee. My mother was one of the members of the original committee, Ramona Gonzalez. And as you point out, I've been involved with the parade literally all of my life, probably from the womb, I would imagine.
And certainly you mentioned that it's a Puerto Rican event that takes place in Camden, but really it expands all of South Jersey.
Oh, absolutely, throughout the region. It is the Puerto Rican Parade of Camden, New Jersey, but we invite everyone throughout the region, South Jersey, North Jersey, across the Pennsylvania. People come from all over to celebrate our culture, and we invite other cultures as well. We'd like to say that on San Juan Bautista Parade Day, which is, by the way, this year is Sunday, June 26th, the last Sunday in June, but on the San Juan Bautista Day in Camden, everyone's Puerto Rican. Kind of like with St. Patrick's Day. On St. Patty's Day, everyone's Irish.
Green, right?
That's right.
So, back in 1957 when this was started, there was a purpose behind that. Is that purpose still relevant today?
Absolutely, absolutely. The original purpose was to kind of bring together the community. Back then, the Latino community was primarily Puerto Rican. The Fatima Church was the first Latino or Spanish-speaking parish that was established in the diocese back then and in the city of Camden. And it was a way to unite the community, particularly the Puerto Rican community. And to this day, now almost 60 years later, that's the primary focus, again, to honor our heritage, honor our parents, our grandparents, great-grandparents at this point, who came from the island here to New Jersey and established roots here. And at the same time, we also pass on our culture and our heritage to our future generations, our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren.
And obviously you grew up in this, but there's a lot of Latinos or Puerto Ricans that were born here that may not be as in touch with their roots as you were. So this is very important for them as well.
Absolutely, it is very important. It's very important to know your history, your heritage, and it just shows that connection that we have with our families and extended families and throughout.
Let's talk about the events, because the parade you mentioned is June the 26th.
The last Sunday in June, is the big parade and festival at the Wiggins Waterfront Park, right there at the Camden Waterfront.
Let's walk through that. What can you expect at that event?
Okay, the parade, again, that's Sunday, June 26th. The parade kicks off at 12 noon, and until about 3:30, 4 o'clock is the parade. It travels along 3rd Street, parallel to the Delaware River and the waterfront. And then the parade route ends right at the Wiggins Waterfront Park in Camden, in front of the Camden Children's Garden. And right after the parade, around 3:30, 4 o'clock, there's a free, and emphasize the word free, Latin festival, a concert right there at the Camden Waterfront until about 8 p.m.
So we can expect some good salsa, merengue, and plena, and all that other
All of the
good
above.
stuff. I know that you just crowned a new queen. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, we have the queen. We have our queen, Jessica Lugo. She's a teenage queen for 2016. And we also had the Infantil queen, which is, they're very cute. Their ages 5 to 7. And I would just want to say thank you to our 2015 queen, Carla Marie. She was excellent, and she represented the organization well throughout the region at many events and other parades and festivals as well.
You have quite a number of events, which is available on your your website. We'll put
Yes.
that up. But let's get down to the gala. When is the gala event?
Gala, excellent. That's very nice, a very formal event. That is Saturday, June 18th at Nicolosi's Catering in Woodbury. So not too far from this area. And everyone is invited for that. That's at Saturday, June 18th from 6 p.m. to 12 midnight. That's a paid event. Tickets are $85, which nowadays is reasonable.
And let's talk about your need for vendors, volunteers. You're still looking for that?
Yes, and participants in the parade. So there's still time, and again, you can reach out to the website, and if I may give out our phone number to contact us, the best way to reach us by phone would be 856, area code 757-9600, 856-757-9600. We also have the website, which is www.sjbp.org, like San Juan Bautista Parade. And we can still time to participate.
And I expect to be there as well, and expect to see you from the audience there as well.
Please.
Thank you, Juan, for sharing this information.
Thank you.
You for joining us at home once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.